Greetings, everybody. Welcome to Hacking HR's live event today. My name is Danielle LePage, and I am Hacking HR's latest edition, their Learning and Development Manager. And I'm here today to act as the moderator for our event. The moderator that was supposed to join today had some weather issues, so I'm jumping in last minute. So I hope you can be patient with me and bear with me as I moderate this event. So thanks for joining us today, all. And Jessa, I'll ask you if you can bring the panelists to the stage. Hey, everybody. Hi there. Nice to meet you. I would love it if you could go around and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do and why you love this topic. Why did you join us today?
I can start. My name is Anna. My last name is Mamalaki. I call from San Francisco Bay Area. My work is organizational design, and I do that a lot within an organization that has as a purpose to implement AI. And this topic is very much in my heart and very much within the core of the job that I do.
Awesome. Nice to meet you, Anna. And next up, Augustina.
Yeah, I can go next. So my name is Agostina. I'm calling from sunny Buenos Aires, Argentina, as we're entering spring here. I have more than 20 years in HR with progressive leadership positions, and initially in Latin America, and then transitioning to global HR roles, specifically within the tech industry. So I was fortunate to work at companies such as Google, Red Hat, and most recently Eventbrite. And this topic is definitely one of the most relevant today, especially for the HR function. And I've been researching, studying, and applying tools and concepts around Gen AI specifically into my role. And I'm eager to share with the audience some advice around how to accelerate this learning.
We're happy to have you here. And next up, Jess.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jess Goldberg. I'm really excited to be with all of you today. So I am a company trainer, a leadership expert, and I'm the CEO of a company called Distinctly Human, where I go inside companies and I teach the uniquely human skills that I believe will not be able to be replaced by AI. And how I do this is I came from a background of, I was the VP at an AI robotics company, where I was leading a team building the voice and personality of a robot named Moxie. So I was really sitting at the cutting edge point of how far can we push AI? And I also teach leadership and communication skills at Columbia University. So I was sitting at the cutting edge of human potential. Where do we need to push humans, and where can we push AI, and where is that middle ground? And that's what we're going to be diving into, that juiciness today.
You sound like a busy woman, Jess. And Cyprian, how about you?
Brilliant. I will try to match Jess's energy, but I might fail at the start of the call. So love that energy. I'm Chip. I'm calling from London, UK, and unfortunately, compared to Buenos Aires, it's been raining all day. So it's been very gloomy today. As I think we've just finished summer, a very short summer that we've had here. As a job and sort of career, I spent most of my time in HR transformation. So I look at organizations and how the HR operating model is evolving, skills and capabilities. I also deal with technology implementations and driving technology, automation, and now AI within organizations. And sort of the back end of that, I'm looking at analytics and how analytics actually inform some of our decisions and how they make sure that we're making the right decisions with the humans in mind when we're looking at technology, AI, and adoptions.
Okay, great. Well, nice to have you here. Nice to meet all of you. Glad to be connected today. And I think what we're going to do is just jump right in to our topic at hand and, kind of approach it informally. So if anyone wants to just jump in with their ideas, they can do so. So the first question I have is, how are our workplace skills evolving? How can we ensure that essential skills are valued and developed in an AI-driven workplace?
I think, Agostina, you might have to get us started considering the LinkedIn post you've done the other day.
I can definitely. A great question, Danielle. And I think skills is definitely a place to start because there is a myth around AI that we usually consider that skills when it comes to AI are mostly technical, right? Large language models, prompt engineering. So we kind of become very overwhelmed by this new terminology and concepts. And I think we have to demystify that it's like learning how to ride a bike, right? We did it when we were children. We had this curiosity at hand. We were not afraid to fail. We would experiment and fall and try again. So I would start there. Like, we can do this. And although it can be a little bit scary, again, because of the jargon, I think there's a lot of opportunity if we approach it with this learning agility mindset that we all have.
Agreed. Does anyone have any other thoughts on that question?
Yeah, so I'm happy to dive a little bit into this. When we talk about skills, the thing that often comes up for people is they're afraid that their job will be rendered obsolete. You know, most of us are like, will the skills I have be rendered obsolete by AI? I'm going to say yes, they probably will be, but here's why it's a good thing. And hold with me for a moment. During the 19th century, 80% of US workers had a job in agriculture. But that figure now today is less than 2%. Machines perform the vast majority of tasks that are associated with farming, livestock, toiling the land. And so it was problematic in the beginning when a lot of workers were displaced. But now today, there are many new jobs that didn't even exist back then. Jobs like software engineers, digital marketers. There are so many things, and this has happened time and time again throughout history. You know, textile workers in England, they were worried about weaving machines taking over. Tellers were worried about ATMs. Retail workers were worried about e-commerce. And now we're worried about AI. But time and time again, what happens is new technologies create new jobs. You know, I'd love to see like a show of hands of people. How many people think that picking berries is what makes you good at your job? Yeah, no one, right? So the skills that we might have today that we think are what make us great at our job might not actually be relevant in the future, but that's okay. What I think we're going to actually drive towards is more and more human skills. The more that AI takes over jobs, those are jobs that were never distinctly human to begin with.
I like that. Anna?
I would like to say that one important thing with the introduction of AI is that huge loads of data is going to be much more produced. So one important skill that needs to be developed from everyone is the data analytics, how we analyze huge loads of data. That is an important skill that we need really to develop in order not to be within those replaced. Second is very much knowing how to do a lot of problem solving, but with AI. And I would like to say that this technological change is a little bit different than those in the past. Why? Because AI has the capacity really to solving huge, important global problems that humanity is facing. That means that it can, at a certain extent, replace human thinking. So it's a little bit different than other technological advancements. And with that being said, I believe that it is important also to embrace the fact that AI is leading us to singularity, as we say, which means to replace the human intelligence with artificial intelligence. That means that we really need to develop the human aspect of our work. There are aspects in our work, there are human skills that, although they are replaceable, everything can be replaceable, still they are important. And I will explain. Anything can be done with technology. Anything can be done with the technology. But as humans, we still enjoy doing things. We can go somewhere by a car, but we still do hiking just for the pleasure of it. So we really need to understand what are these things. And I can continue on that as we develop the discussion.
And I think this leads nicely into a next point or question is really how can AI complement human work, creating a partnership rather than a replacement?
Shall I pick that up first? So I think going a bit back to what we were talking, because I think we've spoken a bit of AI might replace our jobs. Is it a new industrial revolution? Is it displacing people? Is it all positive or not as part of that? I think a lot of it is still in the eye of the beholder, and it will sort of displace rather than I've just lost screen for a second. So it will replace a lot of jobs that we're doing today, but it also driving significant evolution in a lot of our roles. So the way we're looking at sort of skills and what AI is doing for us in organizations, we're looking at almost like an area of technical skills and that sort of AI literacy, data analytics that was already mentioned. We're looking at cognitive and problem solving skills as part of how do we drive almost like machine learning and automation and significant data modeling to help us, one, understand complex problems, and secondly, how do we solve them? What's the optimum solution for some of those? We've mentioned about social and emotional skills, and these are the ones that will be the hardest to model into machines and be able to replace. And then the one that I think people find most entertaining at the moment is almost like the creative innovation and the thousands and millions of pictures, videos being created that are out of this reality that almost like break what we imagine as being part of the future of work. And I think if you're putting these skills into the context of what they do for our jobs today, we are almost like outsourcing a lot of the activities that what Anna mentioned we don't want to do to machines. So we're actually trying to learn, and it is like a rapid learning journey for all of us to understand what are the type of things that AI could, should, and must do better than us. So significant, massive mountains of data processing. Yes, I can spend a week into processing it, heading off people analytics and being quite keen on spending times in swallowed in Excel spreadsheets. Could AI do it in 5 minutes? Of course. So what are some of these opportunities where we're targeting some of our efforts to do AI? And those are the ones that I've already mentioned around the skills augmentation for our world.
I can go next, Danielle, complementing Cyprian's thoughts on this matter. And the way I'd like to think the partnership is like using these 4 anchors. Like I think 4 ways in AI and humans partnering together. The first one is automation, which is the most commonly heard of, is how AI can automate those routine, very operational tasks that we do so that we can spend time on more strategic type of work. But then there are other ways AI can help. And the second anchor would be augmented. That's something that it needs to be augmented or improved. So there is evidence already that, for example, in the logistics industry, mixed teams of both machines and workers can do better work than any of them working on separate ways. Just to bring an example. And then we have the accelerate anchor, the third way. And I think Cyprian was digging into this. So when we need information ready at hand on real time, but we don't have that much time to go into reporting and insights and analytics, and that can be accelerated by the AI working in partnership with us. And then the fourth, which I find very interesting, and I think it's great for opportunity, it would be for type of works that need redesign or transformation. And one that I think can really benefit from it, for example, is hybrid and remote. There's still a lot of conversation and challenges and opportunities around it. So how can AI support, generate this remote hybrid environments for everyone? So again, AI can help us with work that needs to be really transformed and redesigned in a way. And I hope this helps, again, clarify different ways in which AI can be partners with us. But I'm eager to hear also thoughts from the panel.
I want to go next and talk so much about, I told you that I do organizational design. So my work is go in there, see how the processes need to change, and redesign the structures and also the roles, the content of the roles, the requirements, the connecting points. You cannot imagine how revolutionary AI has been already. I was sitting in a panel in the AI conference that we had here in the Silicon Valley, organized by Reuters. Every chief technology officer was telling me exactly the same thing, that Anna, I can't automate. I cannot integrate AI if I don't change how we operate. And that is so much important. At this moment, we really need to create a revolution within the way that we operate in companies in order to make that happen. We need flatter organizations. We need roles with less handoff points. We really need new skills. We really need also new attitudes and behaviors. And we really need a simplified approach on how we do all these things. With all this in mind, organizations are understanding that, and they're having a reflection on how they can do that differently. And at least here in our area, in the Silicon Valley, I mean, it does happen, and it happens at a high density level. So I don't know what is the experience of the other panelists or of our audience on that. I would like very much to hear about that.
I can imagine in Silicon Valley, you guys are taking a look at this very seriously and deeply. I'm from the Maritime provinces of Canada. I'm from a province named New Brunswick, and I think we're in the early stages of this. All right, taking a look at another question we have here. The effects of AI on workplace dynamics, employee satisfaction, and engagement. So the question is, how can AI be used to enhance the work environment rather than alienate the employees?
Well, the first thing has to do with how we train and how we roll out AI. So the way that we roll it out will determine how employees feel about it. If we roll it out and simultaneously lay off more than half the staff, it's not going to increase employee satisfaction. It's going to actually increase fear. So we have to think about the way in which we roll it out. What are the skills that we're using to augment with AI? So those routine, those uncreative, those standard, things that we don't actually, that employees maybe don't actually enjoy. How can we offload those tasks to AI and then amplify at this moment the skills that are more uniquely human? So, people will come at me and say that creativity is actually something AI can do. I do not actually think it isn't highly creative. It is creative within a box, within a boundary. Something like the iPhone, which Steve Jobs created in his own mind, this outside of the box idea would not have been able, I believe, to be created by AI at this point in time. It really created outside of the box thinking. What AI is really good at doing is looking at things that have already been created. So poems that have already been created, music that has already been created, and creating something that's similar to that, but not extremely outside of the ordinary. It is not an artist that's going to look at, shrivel up shoelaces and create a structure out of it. It can't create things that are really outside of the ordinary. And so what we need to have our employees do is lean into that innovation, that creativity, the human-centered, customer-centered elements, while having the AI take over these routine, uncreative tasks that can actually help us accelerate. And it goes with, in order to keep employee satisfaction high, it's training them how to use these systems, training them how it will help them in their jobs, up-leveling them in the skills that they no longer have, that they will need as their jobs are taken away. But now they can have these new skills that they are going to up-level on. So that is how we increase employee satisfaction and increase employees taking on and being willing to use AI is by giving them that training and that foundation understanding.
Love that. And I'm slightly going to contradict Jess, because she meant something about uncreative activities. And I think AI could be significantly more creative than we can imagine through our current sort of perceptions and what we're building in our organizations today. And AI has proven that, especially in the last few months, of how it's pushing the boundaries of what we're imagining as being possible for organizations. I think we need to use AI as augmentation into some of that. So think of AI being 1,000 little brains that could do brainstorming significantly more effective than you being in a room with 12 people. So what are the multiple different ideas that you could iterate? How does it test some of those prototypes? How you're able to join some of the needs in the organization and understand the impact of some of those ideas over people. I think we're getting to the point where we're separating what we want to give to AI versus what brings us joy at work. And I think joy is such a crucial element that we need to bring more and more into our places. Personally, I don't think routine work generates joy for people. So I'm with you on that, Jess. If anything that's routine, repetitive, and admin activity, yes, AI, please take it away from us. But there's specific elements that support us with a level of interaction, building relationships, being part of a community that we would never try to replace with AI. And this is part of the elements that we've been building in a lot of organizations, is some of the core principles of when we're going to deploy AI and what are the type of things that we can keep away from AI. So the organizations that at the moment are resisting chatbots and resisting some of those interactions because they value that human connection so much that they want the human-to-human type of conversation to flourish and evolve and be supported. And that's perfectly fine. That is amazing to see in organizations that still value some of those elements. So I think we need to think of AI almost like being targeted. So it's not taking over and it's not conscious and it's not making decisions on our behalf. It's still within our decisions as HR leaders to almost like focus and target, like what are the type of things that we want AI to hit. So you're looking at sort of automation of routine tasks, and this almost like creates space for people to spend more time on thinking creatively about problem solving, doing strategic work or other elements. You're looking at employee satisfaction by reducing some of those mundane tasks. So I'm horrible at admin tasks and keeping up with things that require almost like repetitive updates of milestones and anything else. If I can give those to AI, I would be a happy bunny. And then you have all of these different elements where we're using AI to the point that we were talking earlier around like massive mountains of data to capture. So I would love AI to understand on a day-to-day basis of what brings me joy at work and how it's managing my schedule and my interactions to create more and more spaces of that joy and interaction and purpose at work.
I can go next, Danielle. Very quick thought, actually. And being this an HR hacking HR panel, I can't help but wear the HR leader hat for a sec. And speaking about employee satisfaction, one of the things that is still a challenge for us in organizations is how to ensure decision-making transparency in processes like promotion cycles and merit increases. And I think AI will provide this data-driven approach that we definitely can leverage for this type of processes. And the other is, again, wearing my HR hat, I think one of the pains we still have in many organizations is how do we develop and train employees in a more agile way and more personalized way? How do we provide those career momentum and paths that are really personalized to what I as an employee want to grow and excel at? And again, here I think AI can do wonders for really targeting those skills, those areas for each employee individually. So again, quick thought about how within HR this can be the land of opportunity actually for us.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking earlier when you were talking, Cyprian, if some of our workload can be managed using AI, then perhaps we're going to have bigger expectations on what we can do in our roles. If some of our admin tasks are being looking after by AI, we need to upskill. This is just going to, we're going to be expected to upskill ourselves, and it's going to be more competitive in our roles.
I would like to say that this is not a technological change as we think. It's a human change. And as a change strategist, I would like to advise that we have a very good change management strategy in order to preserve this employee engagement that we're talking about. Without that, we cannot have neither the adoption and nor the smoothness that we would like to have within the organizations. And I believe so much on what you've said and everything that has been already mentioned. And especially the fact that we really need to emphasize a lot the reskilling and utilize AI for the AI change. So this kind of displacement that is going to happen for a lot of job holders needs really, all these people that are now involved at the highest percent at their jobs, at administrative tasks, they cannot really be at the snap of a finger, really, they cannot really become strategic. In order to do so, they really need to go through exposure to other tasks, which means, to be transferred to another role, to be involved in other projects. That is a developmental thing that an HR leader does with the help of the organization. This person needs to be exposed to training, and AI can help a lot, as all of you have said. But these kind of activities need to happen either from the individual oneself, from the organization, from the society as a whole. If these do not happen, this person is going to be displaced and without work.
And without distilling fear out there of sort of changing expectations of HR leaders and what we do in our jobs versus displacement of work, and how do we manage a change that at the moment we don't understand for a lot of our organizations. I think in what I find useful in this is I'm thinking about we're at the pinpoint where organizations, workplace, workforce are all evolving. And it's like our expectations for the workplace are different from the generations before. My expectations today from work and workplace are different than what they used to be 10 years ago as well. So now I'm looking for fulfillment and purpose and innovation and change and vision and a lot of the things that before they weren't as important in my career. So I was looking at almost like interesting work and finding excitement in the type of work that I'm doing. So I think we're looking at, and I'm not even talking about previous generations where they had no aspirations of actually work being fulfilling and work was a paycheck for a lot of them. I think we've seen like an evolution of three different pillars of elements. So we've seen the evolution of expectations from the workplace. So that is something that we need to keep in mind, and sometimes we're forgetting that us as humans are evolving, and our expectations of how much work takes into our time is changing as well. Then we're seeing an evolution of the workplace. So you have boundaryless workplaces. You can work from anywhere. You're doing work in different scenarios or time zones, or you name it, multiple different type of arrangements out there. And the last piece is the evolution of work. And this is where AI is taking significant amount of space in. So how is the nature of the work that we're delivering evolving and changing? To your point, yes, we will have more time to think creatively, to think of strategy, to think about the future of work, to think about the future of organizations. It will come to the point when that is an expectations from people to actually use more of the human side into the workplace and less of using our hands to spin cogs and whatever we've done as manual labors before. The work is becoming more and more of an intellectual exercise. So we're turning more into being scientists into the workplace and putting out lab coats and playing more of being those scientists rather than doing significant more manual work. And I think if we're accepting that as being a scenario and a journey for us as individuals, for our teams, and for our organizations, then part of that change journey that Anna was saying, and that resistance to change, becomes smoother to navigate for organizations.
Good points. Anyone to follow that before we jump into the next question? Okay, next one up is, can AI enable more flexible, remote, and hybrid work models? The potential for AI to reshape traditional hierarchies and create more fluid project-based work structures. Any thoughts? Anna?
That is Agostina's. I mean, she should start that.
So true, Anna. Thank you for pointing it. And I can start the conversation here. I think, again, there's a lot of potential. I've seen this actually in organizations already playing out, as AI allows for real-time collaboration on the one hand. It allows also for very rapid data sharing and some task automation as well. So again, all of these become very seamless collaboration. It allows to flatten structures, and for people not only to have to work necessarily on within a specific team, respecting the hierarchy or the function, the job family, to be within the box, but rather to be able to participate in different projects, different initiatives, kind of enrich the type of work they do, and for organizations to be able to maximize their whole talent pool, right, in this way. So, but I'm eager to hear, again, some other thoughts from the panel.
I feel like if we had a face-to-face audience, we would have said, raise your hand if 8-10 years ago you would have heard of talent marketplaces, and you could easily define what those are. And I think more and more as we've evolved, we're talking every single organization has a talent marketplace. And the talent marketplace is not just traditional roles, it is gig opportunities and projects and side quests that you're taking on as part of your job. And with the advancement of technology and almost like powered by AI, you're able to take those and actually quantify what are the type of skills and capabilities that you're building. Is this like me taking a side quest or a gig actually empowering me to become a better leader or a better coach or a better professor or whatever that career path would be. So we're using AI and automation in this almost like fluid way of how do we draw on capabilities from the whole organization, and that it does impact reporting lines, and it does impact some of our capabilities and our traditional way of thinking about organizations. And that's perfectly fine. I think we need to think of organizations as being organisms that constantly change and evolve, and they move parts to just make it work and also have the fluidity of all going into the same goal and the same outcome.
I would like to take it from where Chip really left it and say that it's a huge change that we see within the way that the organizations are operating is that now we don't have roles anymore. In fact, we have skills-based organizations. We don't have role-based organizations, which means that what we want really to have in our talent framework is really the inventory of the skills and not a succession planning of the roles. That is a huge revolution on how we do HR within organizations. With that being said, that means that you can replace, let's say, a person with a gig worker, with someone that can offer that skill at a minimum or as an outsourced level and so on. This is extremely important because it changes how we operate as an organization and it changes how we operate as a society. As Chip mentioned before, people in the past probably were caring more about the pay slip in comparison to the purpose. But also, as the labor market is changing, people are much more caring to do what they like, even if it's not really a long-term employment. That is changing a lot. So also an important thing to consider within this AI transition.
A few other things I'd like to add about how remote work can be enhanced by AI. A lot of times when we think about AI, we think about large language models, we think about ChatGPT, but we ignore that AI is actually far more vast than just that. AI is task scheduling. There are calendar bots that can now figure out who is at what time slot and is available. You can change a meeting and it can say, oh, perfect, this is the right time that everyone is available, and it suggests a time, which makes it far easier to work across different time zones with different people. You don't need one person managing all the schedules and trying to figure out, is that actually movable? Is that not movable? Each person can notate, this is a movable meeting, this is not a movable meeting. And then the calendar bot can figure out what time works best for everyone. There's also language translation tools now. We can have a Zoom meeting that can have an entire translation happening simultaneously, so people across different languages can understand what's happening. There's also all sorts of transcriptions that are happening right now inside of Zoom. So people who miss the meeting can be able to see the meeting notes and see what the action items are, which is increasing efficiency. There are so many tools beyond just large language models that are actually increasing our ability to do remote work.
And to add to some of those, to what we were talking about skills earlier, is we're moving away from a scenario where we're expecting people to be at work 9 to 5, and that is amazing, but also very scary, because the downside of that is that we might expect people to work 24/7 and be connected all the time, or we're going to come on the other extreme where you have people in multiple countries where they can afford to have 3, 4, 5 jobs because they are counted on output. Therefore, they are in the same day doing 8 jobs.
Yes.
Challenge for us for the future.
Yes. Speaking of challenges, what challenges do you foresee in achieving true collaboration between humans and machines, and how can companies overcome these obstacles?
I'd love to dive right in on that one. That one is one of the most interesting topics, I think, for us to talk about, because we get so excited about AI and we're like, yes, it's going to help us move forward so much faster. And we forget about the challenges, the biggest challenge being bias and hallucinations right now, certainly. But I think the bias is really underestimated a lot of times, and how much we actually need humans to play the role of the moral decision makers. What inputs are we putting in? How are these inputs being put in? How are we thinking about data and security and all these thoughts? It's really important. One of the biggest challenges will be not just, I'm not afraid of AI. What I'm afraid of is how humans will use AI. And that is a bigger concern. And so I think we really need to be thoughtful about how we're implementing it, the data that we're putting in, what the outcomes are that we're hoping to get out of it. And we need humans to be at that forefront, really thinking thoughtfully about the moral decisions that we have to make, and what are the outputs and what are the cost benefits to getting this.
I love that you jumped straight into the ethics and the potential misuse of AI, not just for our workplaces, but we've seen like an increase risk for cybersecurity and a lot of more hacking than ever before as part of what the snippets of AI plugging into some of our organizations as well. So to add to that, and if that is like layer 1 of like ethical use of AI, the next one would be trust and transparency. And a lot of the trust and transparency is, in a lot of contexts, we can't actually explain how AI works and what AI brings to us. The moment that becomes outside of our visual periphery and we can't explain it, we can't trust what AI is delivering for us. To build on that, because we can't explain what AI is doing, that is creating a significant skill gap. So it's creating like this marginal population where you have people that work with AI day in and day out, and generations that play with AI. You have laptops that are built on AI at the moment, and technologies that are built on AI rather than have AI integrated into it. So that is almost like creating this bigger and bigger gap of skills between different generations and different populations. That also looks at access to technology. So not everyone has the same level of access to technology and the money to power AI into their organizations and their mobile phones and everything else. And that is just amplifying the point through point 4, actually. And this is that element of bias and fairness. So we're going to end up in unequal markets where we're competing against populations that did not have the same access to technology, the same access to AI, the same access to education, to bring them to the same level of support with other populations that we're currently talking about. And that sort of closes the loop with number 5, which is resistance to change. And the resistance to change could have multiple factors. One could be accessibility. Second one, and maybe the biggest one, is fear of the unknown and that level of trust. So it's all amplifying into like this 5-gear element of how we're navigating the organization.
Thank you, Cyprian, for this very comprehensive framework that you provided. I just want to reinforce, one, the need for setting the right expectations with employees in terms of how AI can be used. And the second is definitely provide the education and the training. There is a very well-known case that got a lot of publicity on the media about a lawyer, I think it was last year, who went to ChatGPT or an AI tool for some assistance in a court case, and then the tool provided some, or actually hallucinated some court cases prior, and he used that information, basically, long story short, for the case that he was working on, and the opposing counsel couldn't find those quotations, neither could the judge, and this escalated into this lawyer having to actually explain that it was actually his first time using this type of tools, and that he didn't validate it or confirm the validity of the information. Again, I think this is an anecdote of other potential cases that, uninformed employees might be, using technology in not in the best way possible. So again, expectations have to be set, and then education and training on how to correctly use AI.
I love that. And I think I'm going to add it to my signature with AI is hallucinating.
Let me really add to these wonderful insights already offered, saying that any form of AI, even if it is integrated within how we set up our calendars, we run our meetings, we ask ChatGPT about things, really needs to have, at this point at least, really needs to have a lot of critical thinking from the human being. Not only not to get to the point that this lawyer had got in, but also from another point, and that is the human leading the human story. And what I'm saying with that, within the centuries, it is the human thinking that is progressing and evolving this world. Do we still want to do that, or do we want to leave it to someone else? If we still want to do that, we really need to do that with every of our actions, which means that, because I see that we really need not to, let's say, ask ChatGPT about things. We really need to have a good prompting on what we ask and how this needs to be prepared. That's why I say, and that I do a lot of things around that. People really need to enhance their prompting skills. They really need to know what is the problem that they want to solve and what is the way that they want it to be solved, in order to keep their critical mind, and whatever is being offered goes through that filter. Otherwise, they don't lead. They just follow, and they follow something that is not at this point really to be followed. So with that being said, I would like to say that in order for the human right now to harmoniously work with the AI, or as the title of the panel is, with the machines, is really not to be an extension of the machine, no, but being the leader.
Absolutely. Any thoughts on that one? I think this leads nicely into the next question, Agustina. What are some successful examples of human-machine collaboration that have resulted in increased productivity or innovation in the HR function?
Yeah, so I think again, I mentioned this earlier. There's a lot of opportunity to use AI and create these great partnerships within the people function. And some of the places where it has turned out to be very positive is hiring and recruiting. We are seeing already the sourcing being significantly reduced and the quality of candidates being increased. We've seen also scheduling being optimized, but then onboarding has been another area where we are seeing AI helping create comprehensive, personalized onboarding processes. Learning, definitely, as I mentioned before, is an area where we have a variety of AI tools supporting personalized career paths, and there's a lot of opportunity. Just these are just some examples to mention a few. Of course, there are challenges as well, right? I mentioned hiring. Of course, bias needs to be tackled. We need to ensure we have unbiased hiring processes. So for every advantage that we see in the use of AI, we need to ensure that the training we are doing of those AI tools is definitely aligned to the values of the organization, and that they are bias free and ethical.
Love that, and I think you've covered most of the hire to retire life cycle with some of those examples as well. So like if you look at Unilever, they did some amazing things with using AI in recruitment and how they augment part of their journey as well. You'll see it's almost like Hilton and how they deployed like a chatbot to support with candidate experience. So that covered part of onboarding as well and giving prompts to people of how they should turn up to the first day and the information that they'll have to be able to explain what day one is going to look like for them as part of their onboarding. You do have talent development and career paths as well. So there's hundreds of tools out there that do skills mapping, give you a bit of not just career maps, but also give you an understanding of how those skills would mature, evolve over time, how they change, and what some of those skills might look like about 5-10 years from now, and how you're developing and growing in that direction of travel. I think we've covered earlier like analytics and processing significant amount of data. You're now seeing like AI being baked into some of the solutions. So like one that I was playing with earlier was around how do we set goals and objectives. So you're writing some goals and then AI is giving you instructions of how you're making some of those goals smart, and picks up information to say you need to put this timeline because that is when your project is finishing, and keeps you nudged into it. Then the line manager gets prompts and nudges with behavior science behind it to have one-to-one conversations with the employee. So it's like across the hire to retire life cycle, there's like millions of opportunities that we can think about where AI can almost like lift up the game and drive more innovation and how we're dealing with it. And a lot of it is still evolving. So I think part of it is keeping our minds open of what else will there be out there. One of the ones that I'm thinking about, and I haven't yet fully played with it, but is the way we're getting requests from employees into our ticketing platform, and using generative AI to like interpret and translate some of those into what does it mean, what is the employee actually requiring, and do we already have a framework on how we answer and resolve this for them. So like as easy as that to circumnavigate some of the complexities of understanding each other at work. Amazing.
That's great. You mentioned setting goals earlier, and that leads into the next question is, in what ways do you think AI can reshape leadership styles and decision-making processes within organizations?
Well, I want to add a couple things to the last one, and then I'll add on to this one. So I think that, AI can be used in a lot of ways that we don't always think to use it. Like if you look and consider all of your tasks that you have to do, and you think, I would just encourage you, write down every single thing you have to do every day, and then be like, could I use AI for this? So for instance, one thing we all have to do is write job descriptions. Well, you can actually use AI to help you write a better job description that might actually increase your ability to get a more diverse candidate pool than just from your own perspective. So that's something that both leaders can use and HR professionals can use. And there's a lot of different ways that we can use it to help us brainstorm, to help us get outside of our own box of thinking. Well, we do have lots of perspectives that AI does not have. We can also collaborate with AI as a leader to help us think, hey, I'm dealing with this, AI can help you with problem solving and conflict negotiation. Hey, can you role play with me? I'm having this challenge with one of my employees. Can you role play me and help me understand what their perspective might be? So it can help you as a leader get out of your own perspective and be that brainstorming partner. I like to think of AI as really my super helpful, eager assistant that can just help me think through ways in different ways. And so it is a brainstorming partner as well as a partner that can also take on tasks for you. And as a leader for making decisions, sometimes you might say, okay, hey, I'm going to do this new strategy. You can give it the context of the strategy that you're going to take on, your business, the market conditions, and you can say, what am I missing? What have I not thought about? What are the risk factors that I haven't considered? And it can help you think through those things, which is really important, just to give you a broader perspective. It might be you still go with the idea that you had, but to have that other perspective can be really helpful.
Agreed. Anyone else?
And I'm going to share an example. I hope I'm not going to name them, but one of the leaders that I've been working with, and they are almost like at the forefront of AI and how we use AI in organizations, was giving us some very amazing examples around a roundtable with HR leaders around how he uses AI and ChatGPT both in his personal life as well as being a leader in organizations, and almost like a thinking partner and a bit of therapist and a bit of advice. So he was saying, he's struggling a little bit with teenage son going through 60s and almost like being a bit rebellious. And he said, mindful that he's been at the same age and had similar challenges, what would be the best way that he would approach a conversation that will have positive outcomes with his son? And like ChatGPT created this scenario, and then he said, because they're rebellious, also try not to go very scripted and do this and approach it as being not judgmental and try not to necessarily talk to them about impacts of some of those conversations, and listen first before you actually try to help, and ask them if they want advice or support, or they just want someone to listen. And he was like, God, like I would have just went in, said, what the hell have you been doing, and everything else. And going through ChatGPT was like, this is a completely different type of approach that I can take into my personal life. And then taking that into the workplace, he used that into what are the type of one-to-ones. Like this individual has this type of profile, and we know that they respond well to data and to analytics, and they've been struggling with some of the information. What would be a constructive way to address a conversation with them? And sort of feeding that information actually helps leader be better leader and adapt part of their behavior to the people that they are working with, and understand context within that community that they are working within.
I want to very quickly really jump into add into that, Chip, and thank you for providing that. It's so much important to know what we ask from AI. And as Jess said, we really need to entertain our thoughts, but have some kind of idea what we want to achieve. And please make sure that you don't put over there things that you don't want to be at the first page of a tabloid newspaper. So there is a confidentiality thing that you really always need to preserve on what elements you put over there. But have in mind what you really want to achieve. That is important. I wanted to say that we created a session with the National HR Association. I'm in the board of these guys. And we created a session on how you can do job descriptions with AI. And that turnout was huge here in the Silicon Valley. I mean, everyone flocked in order to know how to do that. And that is so much useful, I can tell you. So this being said, I would like to say that as everything, it's very important to know how you use it in a way that does not use you.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, panelists, for joining us today. Thank you, listeners, for listening in. And this is the end of our session today. Thanks for joining us. And we have our next session happening on Monday. So we'll see you back here. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.